Good afternoon. Toronto police say they have arrested 5 demonstrators after they reportedly forced their way into a downtown building yesterday.
One person was injured during the protest near Bay and Elm. CTV's Janice Golding is live with the very latest. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, 5 people are facing charges after an alleged attack on students from TMU University yesterday afternoon. These videos posted by Stand With Us Canada show protesters chanting "Free, Free Palestine" and a glass door being shattered at an off-campus venue on Elm near Bay. This is where the TMU chapter of students supporting Israel was holding an event yesterday afternoon. Police say they received a call for unknown trouble at 1:15 p.m., saying when they arrived, officers removed several protesters who allegedly forced entry into a private event without permission, damaging property and injuring one person who was cut by broken glass. Police say during the arrest, some of the accused obstructed officers and one individual assaulted an officer. 5 women who range in age from 21 to 29 were charged with a variety of offenses, including forcible entry and obstruct police officer. TMU, meanwhile, has issued a statement saying TMU condemns acts of aggression, intimidation, or violence. The actions that took place on Wednesday are unacceptable and do not reflect the values of our community. Our thoughts are with any students who may have been injured during the incident. Now, Hillel, Ontario, which focuses on Jewish campus life at 9 universities across the province, has now called on TMU's administration to hold those responsible for the, quote, violence or intimidation to account. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
All right. Thank you, Janice. We're going to learn more details today about a fire in Richmond Hill that claimed 2 lives back in September.
York Regional Police are holding a media conference this afternoon to update their investigation into what they have deemed an act of arson. CTV's Beth Macdonell is live this noon hour at York Regional Police headquarters with a preview. Beth.
Michelle, this is expected to be an insightful update from York Regional Police here at their headquarters this afternoon. An 11-year-old girl identified to CTV News as Rosa was killed in what police called an arson back on September 1st. Her death was deemed a homicide. The fire happened at a home in Richmond Hill on Skywood Drive in the area of Yonge Street and Gamble Road. 5 other people were also hurt in that fire, all members of the same family ranging in age from their 20s to their 70s. One of them, the girl's aunt, has since succumbed to her injuries in the fire. At the time of the fire, a red gas canister was visible underneath a tree near the burnt home. Over the past 2 months, the Office of the Fire Marshal and police have been investigating. Michelle, it will be interesting to see if police announce any arrests in this case, and I expect we will hear more on the condition of the victims. Hopefully, it will be good news. That press conference is happening at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and we will have more details for you at 5 and 6. Reporting live, I'm Beth Macdonell. Back to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Beth. Ontario Finance Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy is set to table a fall fiscal update today with a look at how the province's books are faring amid the impacts of U.S. tariffs. The government projected earlier this year in its first quarter finances the province would have a $14.6 billion deficit this year. Bethlenfalvy says the fall economic statement will have an update on what the government has been doing to shore up the province's economy in the wake of tariffs, including multi-billion-dollar funds to give businesses support and tax deferrals.
Mississauga is thinking ahead to winter and releasing its maintenance plan. New this year, crews will clear snow from all sidewalks, clear away windows impacting over 100,000 residential driveways, and introduce citywide parking restrictions to allow snowplows to operate. Mississauga roads, sidewalks, trails, bike lanes, bus stops, and crossings will be cleared when 5 centimeters or more of snow falls. For less than 5 centimeters, roads, sidewalks, bus stops, and trails are salted but not plowed.
And speaking of the weather, no wintry weather right now, at least. We have beautiful sunshine on this Thursday. Not too bad temperature-wise for this stage in November. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison with a look at the current conditions. I know there are some unsettled days ahead, but right now, not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad, Michelle. I will say confidence is starting to increase a little bit about the possibility of, at the very least, some flurries this weekend. Maybe some measurable snow in parts of Ontario, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Right now, we have very varying amounts of sun and cloud. I'm going to call today the calm between the storms because the winds have eased compared to yesterday. They are going to strengthen again for tomorrow. And we do have rain on the way for tomorrow, but not so much today. It's just a chance of a passing shower. It is cooler, however, only 7 degrees right now in Toronto. We're on our way to a daytime high of 8. So not much warming to go. But again, mix of sun and cloud expected for many areas. Coming up, we're going to discuss your weekend forecast. The track of a low, it's actually the second low that we're going to be getting, is going to bring some areas possibly their first taste, their first true taste of winter. All of the details are coming up. But for now, I'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, the city and the TTC say they're keeping up efforts to improve safety on the transit system.
Starting November 15th, 15 Toronto Community Crisis Teams will be available 24/7 on Line 1 platforms in the U, providing dedicated support to riders. Our plan focuses on 6 key elements: collaboration, clear communication, active engagement, robust staff training, ongoing improvements to our system, and a data-driven safety monitoring.
Mayor Olivia Chow says this step comes as the TTC has worked to add hundreds more frontline safety staff and make other key structural changes.
Over 32,000 cameras now watch over the system. TTC stations have better waiting areas, brighter lighting, cleaner spaces. And it's working. Offenses against TTC riders are down 28%. Safety complaints have dropped by more than half. 911 response times are faster by 70%. TTC survey on how safe people feel are going in the right direction, but numbers only tell part of the story. Every Torontonians deserve to get to work, get the kids to school, get home without fear.
The city committed to improving safety on the transit system after a series of violent events, including the fatal stabbing of 16-year-old Gabriel Magalhaes at Keele Station in March of 2023. Mayor Chow dedicated today's announcement to him and his family.
A woman is dead following a collision in Scarborough. It happened in an industrial area near Markham and Finch. Police responded at around 6:45 for reports a pickup truck had crashed. They say a female died at the scene and a male was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. There's no word on what led to the crash. And Peel police are investigating after a man was hit by a transport truck in Brampton. They say it happened at Highway 50 and Mayfield Road around 6:20 last night. The man was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The truck driver remained at the scene.
An update now on a double fatal crash in Brampton over the weekend. Peel police say the remains of one of the people who died were not found in the wreckage until hours later after her family reported her missing. The two-vehicle crash at Chinguacousy Road and Queen Street happened just before 4:30 Saturday morning. The driver of one of the vehicles was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say there was no clear indication of a passenger in the vehicle. The scene was processed and the vehicles were moved to a police impound lot. Hours after the crash, a 20-year-old woman was reported missing. A tracking app showed her last known location was the crash site. Police checked it and the impound lot and found the remains of that woman in the back seat of the demolished Honda Civic. They say a full review of this incident is underway.
Toronto police are releasing data on intimate partner violence for the first time. Data shows the rate of reported violence in the city has ranged from around 17,000 to 19,000 over the past decade. It also breaks down the number of incidents across the city by neighborhood and police division, and includes charges of murder, assault, sexual assault, and harassment. The 5 neighborhoods with the highest rate of intimate partner violence per 100,000 last year were Weston, Beachboro Greenbrook, Weston Pelham Park, New Toronto, and Black Creek.
As the cleanup continues in Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa, so do relief efforts here at home.
Volunteers at a local charity are coming together to help those in need. This is one of many life-saving deliveries arriving in hurricane-ravaged Jamaica from Global Medic. The road's so dangerous, the Toronto-based disaster relief organization used a helicopter from Kingston to Montego Bay so its water purification units can be used to make food in a field kitchen.
Our partners at World Central Kitchen are feeding people. We've installed the water units so the chefs have clean water and folks nearby can come get clean drinking water. But most importantly, the chefs are cooking food with purified water.
In addition to setting up a second field kitchen in Negril, Global Medic says 2,200 family emergency kits have been sent. Inside, a water purification unit, solar light, and hygiene kit. Teams are also packing 640 emergency food kits to be handed out to families caught in the disaster. The need for all of this not going away anytime soon.
Number one, give us a donation. We'll turn it into a kit and get it to a family in need. Number two, get in here, volunteer. Because you volunteer, you can drive down the price of these kits for us because people are assembling them. We're not paying companies to do that.
What we have is the list of all the items that are so urgent required. Simple things like water, like bedding.
In Toronto, the Consulate General of Jamaica has been busy coordinating donations with up to 20 drop-off spots around the GTA. From there, they go to warehouses and are shipped to Jamaica, where teams are bringing items to the hard-hit areas. One of those drop-off spots is the Jamaican Cultural Center on Arrow Road. Tonight, it will also host a special relief concert with dozens of local artists performing. It's $25 at the door, and all are welcome.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a fantastic time. Well, one thing Jamaica is known for is our culture, our music. Yeah, we're known for those good parties and so forth too. But right now we're talking about the culture and the music, and we're gonna use one of our best assets to help raise funds.
The Consul General is thankful for all the support that's already poured in from Canadians.
There are persons who, I'm getting reports, haven't eaten, haven't, had any kind of shelter facilities for days upon days. A lot of the aid and the support which has poured into Jamaica is just now, I'd say, in the past 2 or so days, getting into the places where people are most affected.
As the immense work to rebuild and help those in need continues. And Prime Minister Mark Carney says he's been in contact with his Jamaican counterpart, saying in a statement last night he's spoken with PM Andrew Holness to offer condolences on behalf of Canadians following Hurricane Melissa. He added Canada stepped up quickly to assist, including through the local Canadian Forces Operational Support Hub, and we will continue to support the people of Jamaica through this devastating time. Big news out of Ottawa today. The Supreme Court of Canada said that it won't hear a last-ditch appeal from a BC ostrich farm to save its birds from a cull. Universal Ostrich Farms had already lost legal challenges in federal court and the Federal Court of Appeal. It's been 10 months since the Canadian Food Inspection Agency ordered the farm's more than 300 birds destroyed amid an avian flu outbreak. The Supreme Court delayed the call in September while it considered whether to hear the case. Now that it's decided not to, there is no legal barrier against the call moving ahead. Let's bring in CTV's Scott Hurst live in the National Newsroom for more. Scott, what are we learning about the Supreme Court's decision?
Nathan, in response to the decision by the Supreme Court to not hear the case from the BC Ostrich Farm, Universal Ostrich Farms, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency now says it will move ahead with its planned cull of the ostriches at the farm in southeastern BC. This farm has spent the better part of more than 10 months fighting to save hundreds of its ostriches, a beloved flock, it says, that does not deserve to die, as the owners have been opposing the cull order from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, which the CFIA issued this cull order last December after an avian flu outbreak. The owners of the farm arguing the surviving ostriches show no signs of illness and should be spared. And today, in reaction to hearing the ruling from the Supreme Court that it will not hear this case, it is being met with significant amount of disappointment, outrage, and anger from those of the farm and the groundswell of supporters who are standing with the farm. On Facebook, Katie Pazitny, who's become the farm spokesperson and daughter of the co-owners, posting some videos saying, "Shame on you, Canada, shame on you, government," in response to the Supreme Court not hearing their case. And now the Canadian Food Inspection Agency confirming that, Nathan, it is going ahead with its planned cull.
So with that, what could happen next?
So next is likely the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to go ahead with this call, as the Supreme Court is not going to hear this case, and that the stay order, as it appeared that the call was imminent in September until an emergency stay had been put in place for the Supreme Court to decide whether or not it was going to rule on this. Since the Supreme Court has decided it will not hear the case, it appears now that there's nothing legally standing in the way of the CFIA from beginning the cull and killing of the hundreds of birds, even though this case has received a groundswell of support, not just in BC or Canada, but also around the world, including some high-profile endorsements from south of the border, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the U.S. Health Secretary, who written a letter to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency supporting the farm, arguing the birds could be valuable to study. So the ruling coming from the Supreme Court of Canada today that it will not hear the case is being met with significant amount of anger and disappointment from those at the farm, who say they will do everything they can to continue this fight, as the Canadian Food Inspection Agency says it will now go ahead with this planned call. Nathan.
All right, CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
And also today, Canada's Supreme Court says it will hear appeals in a challenge of Saskatchewan's school pronouns law. The law prevents children under the age of 16 from changing their pronouns or names at school without the consent of their parents. Premier Scott Moe's government invoked the Charter's notwithstanding clause in the 2023 legislation. Regina LGBTQ2S+ group says the rule causes irreparable harm to gender-diverse youth. The government argues parents should be involved in their children's decisions at school. Earlier this year, the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal ruled the group's challenge can continue.
To Ottawa now, where there is speculation today that more Conservative MPs could follow suit and join the Liberals after an MP from Nova Scotia crossed the floor. For more on this, we're joined by CTV's Jeremy Charon. Jeremy, what are we hearing from both sides on the possibility of more Conservatives making the jump?
Yeah, well, Michelle, the rumors are flying. There's a lot of talk in Ottawa, but for now it is just that. There is no confirmation, nothing to report officially on whether or not we will see any other MPs cross that floor, as did MP d'Entremont, now Liberal MP Chris d'Entremont, who yesterday addressed the media and spoke for the first time since making that decision on Budget Day, and talked about the fact that he believes there are other members in the Conservative caucus that have similar beliefs. He spoke critically about the Conservative leader and talked about his decision to join the Liberal Party, join the Liberal caucus, in that he feels Prime Minister Mark Carney and the Liberal Party is providing a better approach to the future rather than knocking things down all the time, which was what he had to say about the Conservative Party. That being said, we've not seen anyone else join in crossing the floor and join Chris d'Entremont. But of course, there is a lot of attention on this, and there's a lot of talk about it, because the Liberals are now just 2 seats shy of a majority in the House of Commons. That would allow them to pass this budget without the help of any other party. And what we know is that Liberals are ready to accept any willing participants with open arms. They've made that clear. While the Conservatives, on the other hand, are putting in a lot of work to ensure that they don't see this happen again, that no other MP from their party crosses over to join the Liberals and bring them 1 seat closer to that majority in the House of Commons. The other thing the Liberal Party is having to focus on at the same time here is, if this doesn't happen in the next hours and days, if we don't see other MPs join the Liberal Party to give them that majority, they have to determine how they'll be able to pass this budget. Because, of course, if they don't pass this budget, Canadians will be heading back to the polls and will be back at another election, sooner than later. And so, you know, one thing is clear. The Conservatives have been clear. They will not support this budget. The Bloc Québécois has basically said the same thing. The NDP is the big outlier here. The 7-member NDP caucus has not been clear one way or the other. They have indicated there are parts of this budget that they support, but have also criticized other parts of this budget, and so have not been clear one way or the other. In fact, they have said a possibility is for them to abstain altogether. That would give the Liberals enough seats and enough votes to pass this budget, but by a slim margin, Michelle, and that means that numbers will be very, very important in the hours and days ahead as we get closer to the final vote on this budget. It could be as simple as, you know, someone not being present in the House of Commons or forgetting to vote. Nobody will be able to afford mistakes like that, because that's how close this will be when it comes to the vote on whether or not this budget passes and whether or not we're going to another election. So, you know, it's going to come down to the numbers, and the numbers are going to be very, very tight.
And certainly there doesn't seem to be much appetite for another election in Canada. CTV's Jeremy Charon live for us in Ottawa. Thank you.
Anytime.
With U.S. President Donald Trump showing no signs of backing down on a global trade war, Canada and other countries are keeping a close eye on proceedings at the U.S. Supreme Court.
The court is deciding whether Trump overstepped his authority by declaring a national emergency to impose many of the tariffs now in place. And yesterday, the judges expressed some skepticism.
Congress, as a practical matter, can't get this power back once it's handed it over to the president. It's a one-way ratchet toward the gradual but continual accretion of power in the executive branch and away from the people's elected representatives.
It's a congressional power, not a presidential power to tax. And you want to say tariffs are not taxes, but that's exactly what they are.
During over 3 hours of arguments, both Democratic and Republican-appointed judges questioned Trump's use of the emergency law used to justify some of the tariffs in place on Canada. Several states and businesses are arguing the import taxes have driven up costs and economic uncertainty. The White House has said its actions are justified, and if the top court strikes down its national security tariffs, it can impose them under different rules. This comes as a new poll suggests most Americans still think Canada is negotiating with the Trump White House in good faith. Leger, Maintenant Media, and Canada 338 surveyed more than 1,000 American adults in late October. A full 75% of respondents said they trusted or somewhat trusted Canada's intentions as the two countries navigate trade tensions. The figure includes 90% of self-identified Democrats and 67% of Republicans. Only 52% of respondents believed the Trump administration was negotiating in good faith.
Israel carried out strikes in Lebanon today as it accuses Hezbollah militants of failing to disarm, as agreed under last year's ceasefire deal. Israel issued evacuation warnings in areas where it said Hezbollah was working to rebuild military capabilities. Lebanon's health ministry says at least one person was killed. Hezbollah said it's committed to the ceasefire and hasn't fired on Israel since the truce came into force last year. Israel says the Iran-backed group is still not living up to its side of the deal.
We will not allow Hezbollah to rearm themselves, to recover, build back up its strength, to threaten the state of Israel. And the continuous terrorist activities by Hezbollah constitute a violation of the understanding between the ceasefire. So like I said, Israel will continue to remove any threat that is posed to our soldiers, to our citizens here.
Lebanon's president has said he's open to talks with Israel to end the tensions. Hezbollah says it's opposed. The government of the Philippines has declared a state of emergency after the country was devastated by a typhoon. Typhoon Kalmeji moved across the country's central provinces in the deadliest natural disaster to hit the Philippines this year. Officials say at least 114 people are confirmed dead, with another 127 considered missing. Nearly 2 million people were otherwise affected, with around 500,000 people evacuated to emergency shelters as the storm continues to rage, now heading for Vietnam.
Strong words today from the head of the United Nations as a climate summit gets underway in Brazil. He said the world had already missed key targets aimed at curbing global warming, and real action is needed now.
The challenge is immense, but the choices are clear. No one can bargain with physics, but we can choose to lead or be led to ruin. We need a paradigm shift to limit this overshoot's magnitude and duration and quickly drive it down.
The COP30 summit in Belém, Brazil, has been billed as an implementation summit where countries can strive to work towards real steps on tackling climate threats. Prince William is among those in attendance.
And so as we gather here in Belém, 10 years on from the Paris Agreement, we are reminded of the extraordinary power of nations, communities, and individuals coming together to drive change. Where we unite behind shared purpose, we can scale and accelerate solutions that transcend borders. Solutions that give us hope and fill us with optimism for the future.
The COP30 summit officially runs November 10th to the 21st.
Well, yesterday was a very windy Wednesday. Here's a look at some of the numbers. All in the end, we had gusts exceeding 70 kilometers per hour, the strongest winds for some of the communities close to the shorelines of the Great Lakes. Here's a look at what's coming. So another round of rain for tomorrow. That's perhaps not quite as concerning as what we could be in for on Sunday. Take a look at this. Yeah, depending on how that low tracks. The first one is a clipper. The second one is going to come from the U.S. And if it tracks a certain way, we could get rain or we could get our first snow. We'll take you through the forecast, which includes a full detailed look at your weekend and into Remembrance Day after this break here on CTV News at noon.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
All right, it's already Thursday. It seems like the week is kind of glowing by. A bit cool, but I do like the sunshine we're getting today.
Definitely, and you say blowing. We don't have the wind we had yesterday, which is nice. I think you get a sunny day in November, and the temperature isn't that cool, and you're loving it.
Yeah, so please remember this feeling of loving the weather, because we have a couple of dicey looking days in really our short range forecast extending into the weekend. Not one, but two low pressure systems are going to impact us over the next 4 days. And one of them could end up bringing us our first true taste of winter. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Some parts of Ontario have already had their first taste of winter. See this? This was Algonquin Park yesterday. Those are some big flakes coming down. And again today, there was a little bit of lake effect snow for communities south of Georgian Bay. Perhaps people living along the 400 corridor waking up to trace amounts of snow this morning. Not going to be sticking around. Perhaps it's already gone if you're in one of those communities. The winds today, a little breezy still. It's that northwest direction that led to some lake effect flakes for some. But the winds are less of a story today. Tomorrow, though, they are going to re-strengthen. The winds will be coming out of the southwest this time, so that's going to actually drive up our temperature a little bit for tomorrow, too. But the cold air arrives over the weekend, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. We've got varying amounts of sun and cloud, depending on which corner of the GTA you're joining us from. The next low-pressure system is an Alberta clipper. We call it that because that's where it originates, and it's going to slide its way across the Great Lakes through tomorrow. Now, traditionally, clippers are fast movers. They don't bring a whole lot of precipitation. We're anticipating roughly 5 millimeters of rain with this one, and the timing of it looks like this. So cloud cover increases overnight tonight. There's tomorrow mid-morning. We see the wet weather begin, but by the evening, it's out of there. We might even see the sun before it sets. And then into the weekend, looks like varying amounts of sun and cloud again for your Saturday. If you are looking to make some plans this weekend, Saturday is more of a sure thing when it comes to the weather cooperating, because this is what we could be in for on Sunday. Now, we are still several days out, but as you can see, it looks as though some areas are going to get perhaps their first snow. Might only be a trace to a centimeter or two, but it is noteworthy because of right now how it shows it impacting the GTA. Confidence is building that this will still be a rain event for the Niagara area, but GTA and north, this is something we're going to be watching. If the low tracks even slightly on a different track, then that's going to impact whether or not we simply get rain or if we do get a little bit of snow. It's cool out there today. It's only 6 degrees. We've actually dropped a degree in the last hour. Where our forecast high today is 8. We expect to be around 6 degrees for the evening, and then overnight dropping to about 3 degrees. This is near normal. Tomorrow at a glance, again, those southwest winds going to bring us a little bump in temperature to about 11 for the high. But again, it is going to be an unsettled day. 7 degrees for Saturday, only 2 on Sunday. Overnight -3, and it looks like a chilly and mostly cloudy middle of next week. And that's the weather for now. Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Old City Hall was lit up last night as part of a special display ahead of Remembrance Day. Lasting through to November 11th, archival images, texts, and names from Toronto's Golden Book of Remembrance will be projected on the side of Old City Hall.
I want to thank the artists for this very thoughtful, beautiful piece of work. It's solemn, but in many ways ask us to remember and ask us to never forget.
We've been working on this for around 4 months, a little bit more if you include kind of all the planning, but it really hits you when you start seeing like all the archival imagery and going through all the documentation, going through the poems, going through the names, because these are the names that were like double-checked and typed by hand by the team at the City of Toronto, and we couldn't have done this without them. Like, they went in, they checked every name, they make sure, because it's really important for them to make sure that each and every one is honored properly.
The projections will be visible each night from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. The display is honoring the 100th anniversary of the Toronto Cenotaph, as well as 80 years since the end of the Second World War. And Prince Harry is set to meet with some of Canada's oldest veterans today as part of his two-day visit to Toronto for events related to Remembrance Day. The Sunnybrook Veterans Centre supports more than 300 vets from the Second World War and the Korean War. Harry is scheduled to attend a dinner tonight organized by an organization supporting Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, as well as their families. His last visit to Canada was in February when he attended the Invictus Games in BC.
It's a cause close to their hearts. A sweet potato producer in Norfolk County is collecting donations to send to Jamaica to help with hurricane relief.
CTV's Karis Mapp tells us many of the farm's foreign workers come from the island.
It's all hands on deck in Norfolk County. Staff at Burlow's Best Farm in Simcoe are gathering supplies to ship to Jamaica, a place where many workers in the community call home.
When I saw my house Sunday night, I fell in tears.
Peter Van Burlow and his staff are packing a 40-foot container full of donations.
We're the largest sweet potato grower in Canada, so we have a lot of help. A lot of them come from Jamaica.
Diapers, hygiene products, and Caribbean foods top the list of sought donations.
Most grocery stores will be more than happy to help you with the Cool Runnings and the Gray-style foods. Non-perishable, of course.
However, items like used clothes or expired food are not being accepted.
Every single space in these containers is valuable, so we want to make sure that it's being filled with things that will be used and needed there.
After the container is shipped, the farm will continue collecting supplies to send overseas through other avenues. With Jamaican workers widespread across the province, farmers are pooling their efforts.
Simcoe, Niagara area, Meaford, Leamington, Chatham, because we are all over Jamaican workers. As you know, the population here is about 9,000.
One of them is Maria Peart, who works at the apple farm across the street. Despite living in Canada for the last 5 years, Peart said she and many others here have been traumatized by the hurricane's impact.
Many of our family lost everything. We lost our roads, we lost everything. It's so hard for us.
Peart's children are safe, but their family home didn't withstand Melissa's wrath.
This is my home. I'm going home Friday, so this is my home.
When she arrives, Peart will need to rebuild from the ground up, and of course, she's not alone.
I've had guys that say, hey, my house is okay, I can stay. I've had guys that, hey, I've got nothing left, I need to go home. And then I've got guys that said, you haven't got nothing left, I need to work as long as possible. So we accommodate all of them.
And his efforts aren't going unnoticed.
I feel so grateful, and I appreciate everyone in Canada who are reaching out to help us back home in Jamaica, because it's not easy.
Donations for this specific container are being accepted until Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. The shipment will head out later that day, with items set to reach Jamaica in 2 to 3 weeks. Karis Mapp, CTV News, Simcoe.
A piece of furniture that gained a lot of attention during the Blue Jays World Series run is going on display. The pull-out couch that Addison Barger slept on the night before he hit a pinch-hit grand slam is getting its own exhibition in the lobby of the Toronto Marriott City Centre. And that's where we find our Jessica Smith. I figured you'd be sitting on the couch. I guess it's off limits.
You can sit on the couch, but I'm almost like a little nervous. It gives a new meaning to the term big comfy couch. It's that version for this generation, right, Nathan? It is such a cool piece of the World Series that you don't normally think of. You think of baseballs or jerseys, but the couch is so unique. I want to bring in Chris Schmidt. You're with the hotel. Talk to me about the scenario, because I feel like you maybe had a room for him, but the story behind it is really cool, and this couch is now famous.
It is, yeah. We did have a room for him. That's the irony of this whole thing, and
he didn't want to sleep alone. Before a big game, he's like, I want to be part of, be with my teammates, stuff like that. And yeah, it's just crazy. Like you talk about the whole momentum. I mean, we're still carrying it with us, and we're talking about a couch. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's a pretty special story. It really is.
You go back to the picture. We'll move out of the way so Francis can get a nice close look. It really is so fun because he's just sitting there focused on the game, getting ready to do his thing. But what is it about this coach that you think was maybe the secret to him having that fantastic game?
Well, I think he got a great sleep. I think that's the secret sauce here. He clearly really enjoyed his stay. And again, he looks so relaxed in that picture. It's unbelievable. He's just doing his thing and hit one of the biggest home runs in Blue Jays history the following day. So, yeah, I think he really enjoyed his sleep that night.
And I know that he had a pretty big life moment even before the game with having a baby right before the game one. Didn't want to be by himself, wanted to hang out with his buddy. The power of friendship is really what the Blue Jays kind of soared through this entire series. Is that kind of what makes this so special? Is because he was just hanging out with his buddy before one of the biggest games of his life?
I think so, and I think it goes back to like the beginning of the season, just watching these guys the entire way. I mean, the country got to witness it, and I think that's exactly what it is. They've literally been by each other's side the entire time, and this is just another testament to that, and we're really happy that he decided to do that night, because here we are with this amazing story that's going to hopefully keep going. So
it's only been here really not even a full 24 hours, the couch.
24 hours, yeah.
So what's it been like? I've seen people coming by, taking photos. You can lay on the couch. I saw a dog on the couch. How does it all work?
You did. That dog's probably going to win. But yeah, so we are running a contest with it. So if you tag Marriott Toronto CC, and then very important, Field View Couch hashtag, that way there you have a chance to win a Field View room for a game next season. And you'll also get a jersey of your choice. Hopefully it'll be Barger or Schneider, depending, but you can put your own name. You can choose whoever you want. But TikTok, Instagram, that's how you get that out. So take a picture, a video, and yeah, come on down to the hotel and let's get this thing going.
So my question is now, what happens to the couch? Is it going to hang out here? Do we have a plan for the couch? If I was staying in a room here, could I, by chance, sleep on the pull-out couch?
Yeah, so that's a big question right now. We're not sure. This is still so fresh that, we've had a lot of people calling. Are you going to auction it off? Are you going to keep it here long term? We're not sure. So TBD on that. To be continued, yeah.
I'm not saying like I need a new couch, but if you don't keep it, it could fit into my place. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
The new big comfy couch. We're going to send things back inside to the studio.
All right. Thank you, Jess. And we're going to hear from Toronto Blue Jays president and CEO Mark Shapiro and GM Ross Atkins at their end-of-season news conference next hour. We'll have more on that at 5 and 6 tonight.
To hockey, the Maple Leafs were at home last night against the Utah Mammoth, but before the action started, they paid tribute to John Tavares for his 500th NHL goal last week. Leafs captain Austin Matthews and defenseman Morgan Rielly presented commemorative sticks to his kids and flowers to his wife and mom. Tavares was presented a golden hockey stick to mark the big milestone. The Leafs also donated $10,000 to the John Tavares Foundation, and his teammates matched that donation.
Robertson in support. It came out in front. Scores! John Tavares! 5-0-1!
And how about that? Tavares kept the celebration going by scoring the go-ahead goal in the third period. He also had an assist last night. The Leafs beat the Mammoth 5-3 for their third straight win. Their next game is Saturday at home against the Bruins.
Still to come, a dispute with her bank left one woman's credit score hit hard. We'll have that consumer alert after the break.
Your credit score is an important number because it determines if you can be approved for loans, credit cards, and other financial products.
A good score can save you money over time, while a bad one can make borrowing more expensive or even impossible. CTV's Pat Foran has this consumer alert.
A woman we'll call Gloria asked us not to identify her as she is embarrassed about her situation. The senior has mobility and eyesight issues, but the former bookkeeper says she's always been very careful paying her bills.
Have you always paid your bills on time?
Oh, before the due date.
Gloria says in February she got a credit card bill for $389 and believes she paid it. But her bank said it never received the funds and kept sending the same bill month after month and adding interest. Gloria was worried she would be paying the bill twice.
Why should I put that money in their pocket? For what? If you pay it, why do you have to pay again? I don't understand that.
After she didn't pay the bill for 8 months, her credit score dropped to the lowest level, her home insurance doubled, she was unable to co-sign her son's car loan, and she was denied a new credit card. Gloria says she didn't know disputing the charge could cause so many problems.
I thought they'd go only after me for the money. I never thought they were gonna destroy my credit score.
A good credit score can help you rent an apartment, get a loan, and qualify for lower interest rates. But late payments can lead to a lowered credit score, increased interest rates, higher late fees, difficulty getting new credit, and accounts could be closed or have reduced credit limits.
If you're behind on a $100 a month payment, your credit score really takes a hit because they figure, hey, if you can't handle a $100 payment, we're certainly going to not loan you a larger amount of money.
Doug Hoyce, a licensed insolvency trustee, says in the event you feel there's a mistake on one of your bills, pay it first and try to settle it later.
If you're having a dispute on a bill, pay it, and that way your credit score isn't going to take a hit, and then fight over it later. If you win, you get your money back.
After CTV News contacted her bank, they determined Gloria had not paid the bill. Now she has, but it could take as long as 6 years before the unpaid bill doesn't show up on her credit score. Pat Foran, CTV News.
A miniature donkey is in the city to kick off the 103rd edition of the Royal Agricultural Winter Fair. Rosie is this year's ambassador, and oh, is she cute. The 6-year-old miniature donkey made the trip from a farm in Oshawa and arrived at Nathan Phillips Square this morning. Organizers say Rosie will charm visitors and represent the royal, maintaining the annual tradition, bringing the country to the city every November.
There's 1 million square feet, so there's literally something for everybody. You can learn about cattle, you can learn about where your food comes from, you can watch an incredible horse show in the evening. We even have Western Day on our final Sunday on November 16th, where you can come in your best Western gear, bring on those rhinestones, and watch 2 rodeos on Sunday.
The Royal runs November 7th to the 16th at Exhibition Place. Bye, Rosie. Coming up, a familiar face from the popular show Downton Abbey is taken to the stage right here in Toronto with a story of a Hollywood icon. We'll have those details after this short break.
She's best known for her role on Downton Abbey, but now Elizabeth McGovern is taking on the role of another famous actor.
And she's doing so on stage right here in Toronto. CTV's Andrea Case sat down with her.
Let's write this truthful book together. Is that what you're suggesting?
8 years ago, when Academy Award, Golden Globe, and Emmy Award-nominated actor Elizabeth McGovern purchased the book Ava Gardner, The Secret Conversations, she knew it would make a great play.
So how do you want to start the book, honey?
How do I want to start?
Yes, how do you want to start?
When the writers hired to pen the script failed to produce one, she wrote it herself and then starred in Ava, The Secret Conversations.
I think it's a very entertaining evening, and I think they'll walk away with a visceral feeling for what it's like to have been a movie star on the level that Ava Gardner was a movie star.
When Ava Gardner, once known as the most irresistible woman in Hollywood, needed money, she hired a writer to produce her biography. That writer was British journalist Peter Evans, played by Aaron Coster-Ganis.
But who would you be without people like me?
It's a rare gift to be able to transform on stage in this specific kind of way.
Evans was fired before the book was complete, and Gardner died in 1990. Years later, he turned their recorded conversations into a book. In the play, Coster-Ganis plays multiple roles, including her husbands, Mickey Rooney, Artie Shaw, and Frank Sinatra.
It is the most difficult role since time began to cast, because he needs to be a person that presents as the least charismatic man ever born initially. And then he turns into, in the course of the play, when they go on this journey together, all the men that peopled her past.
Welcome to Downton.
To fans of what is undoubtedly McGovern's most famous role as Lady Grantham in the Downton Abbey TV series and films, she says, be warned.
Am I the only member of this family who lives in the 20th century?
Ava Gardner, in the first 10 minutes, I think she says 15 swear words. So I think it's a kind of a shock. If you are a Downton Abbey fan, kind of adjust your expectation a little bit, because she ain't no Lady Grantham, but she's hopefully a character that does pull you in.
Get pulled into Ava, The Secret Conversations, on stage at the CAA Theatre from November 6th through the 30th. Andrea Case, CTV News.
That looks fabulous. Weather-wise, okay, we've got some sun, a little bit of cloud. This is a day to like this week.
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's not very active today compared to, well, the rest of the days in the 7-day forecast. Yeah, we are heading into a pretty active little pattern here with another storm tomorrow and then one on Sunday that could get people talking. But let's talk about today. Varying amounts of sun and cloud, and then tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low near 3, which is seasonal. Tomorrow, daytime high around 11, so a bit of a milder day, slightly above average. But yes, we do have rain in the forecast. It looks like the rain is going to begin mid-morning and should be done by about mid-afternoon. Here's your weekend forecast. So Saturday, we might see a little bit of sun, but Sunday, again, this is a day where we are watching for the possibility of rain or snow. And if we get some snow, it could be a trace to a couple of centimeters of it. The rest of your 7-day forecast shows some cool conditions next week for Remembrance Day. Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.